If I could just deviate a little bit and exercise something of a chairman's personal privilege, make a little bit of a formal statement on a couple of matters that are one that's been pending before the committee. Members and ladies and gentlemen, I usually do not respond to inaccurate or misleading discussions that pop up on the internet, nor do I respond to hateful or threatening commentary. However, today I feel compelled to try to set the record straight with regard to certain comments that have been bustling about with regard to HB 1911 and with regard to HB 375. As everyone knows who keeps up with this committee, we have been assigned these bills, HB 375 and 1911, which are commonly called the unlicensed carry or constitutional carry bills. These bills have generated a great deal of attention, both pro and con. In fact, between the two bills, we had over 600 witnesses registered at our hearing on March 28, 2017. And I can tell you on numerous days, my office has received anywhere from 100 to 300 calls and uncounted emails and other communications regarding these bills. After that hearing on March 28th, my chief of staff was approached by a senior staff member of the Office of the Attorney General. This senior member relayed their office's concern that, as originally drafted, HB 1911 and HB 375 would remove their ability to use the license to carry statute in child support enforcement, something that had been done for many years and many years prior to the current Attorney General in office. Child support enforcement is a primary responsibility of the Attorney General's office. The senior staff member for that office further relayed that this was a serious concern because they did not want to lose that child support enforcement tool. A few days later, I met, along with my chief of staff, with the same senior staff member from the Attorney General's office. In that meeting, he reiterated their concern over child support enforcement. I then requested that he work with the authors of HB 375 and 1911 to address the AG's office's concern. And as requested, the Attorney General's staff did assist in redrafting 1911 into the version passed out by our committee on April the 18th. Now, let me state at this juncture that it is common practice for a state agency to notify members of the legislature when a bill will impact their agency and to assist in drafting if requested. That is their job. That is every agency's job, and this happens every day. Now, the purpose of this statement. It has been repeatedly and falsely reported that I publicly alleged that Attorney General Ken Paxton has been blocking our committee's passage of HB 375, or that he did not support that legislation. And today I need to respond to that misinformation. First, I challenge anyone to find where I've made such a statement or anything to that effect. Frankly, until this fake news erupted, I had no idea of or any need to know General Paxton's personal position on 375 or any other legislation. Second, as best I can determine, this internet myth stemmed from a formal comment I made at the Homeland Security and Public Safety Committee hearing of April 18th. As you may recall, when I was about to call for a vote on House Bill 1911, Chairman White's bill, I publicly summarized the various changes that had been made in the bill since it had originally been heard by our committee on March 28th. Reviewing changes between an original bill and the bill the committee is voting on, called a committee substitute, is standard practice in every House committee before calling a vote. Again, in that review, I listed one by one the differences between the original bill and Chairman White's committee substitute. At that time, in my review, I made a singular reference to the Office of the Attorney General with regard to the child support issue. And I quote, "There were concerns raised with regard to, by the AG's office, with regard to the ability to use it for child support collection." Members, that was the only reference to the Office of the Attorney General I or anyone on the committee made. There was no blame placed on anyone. I never accused anyone of blocking either bill, 1911 or 375, certainly not the AG, and certainly not any of his staff. Now, should anyone still question this, the full layout of the committee substitute to House Bill 1911 is recorded on the House website and is available for anyone to review. Simply go to timestamp on March 28th, timestamp 2 o'clock to 2:05 p.m. I will say that how my simple statement regarding the Attorney General's office and child support enforcement could have been misrepresented, I do not know. And by the way, I would also encourage you to listen to my comments that day regarding the harassment and bullying of my staff and threats made against me and others by various, not all, certainly not all, but by some supporters of HB 375. For that, go to timestamp 2:13 through 2:16 p.m. These tactics continue, by the way, and they need to stop. My staff had to clear off 400 voicemails in just the last few days, many of which were language that none of us would use in public. Now, I want to apologize for taking the committee's time on this morning, but I really hope this sets the record straight. I stand by my original statement. The Attorney General's office did, in fact, raise the child support issue, request that it be corrected in House Bills 1911 and 375, and then at my request, assisted in drafting language to make the correction that is presently in 1911. Now, for this hearing, I have requested that the AG's office provide a resource witness. Steve Pierre, would you please come to the podium? Mr. Pierre, thank you for being here. Would you just, for the record, state your name and who you represent?
Mr. Chairman, members, my name is Steve Pierre. I'm the Director of Governmental Relations for the Office of Attorney General.
And you're here as my request as a resource witness?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just have two questions. Sir, with regard to the version of 1911 by White, passed out by this committee, in that bill, have the concerns raised by the AG's office regarding child support enforcement been corrected? In other words, has your office's concerns with regard to 1911 and child support been alleviated?
Yes, sir.
One more question. With regard to the current version of HB 375 by Stickland, pending before this committee, have the concerns raised regarding child support enforcement by the AG's office been corrected in that bill's current draft?
No, sir. And while it is the default setting of the agency to raise concerns anytime a bill draft is in conflict with current law or current practice, we certainly did so and appreciate you hearing us out on that. In the case of HB 375, the agency is prepared to forego those concerns and continue to be the nation's #1 child support enforcement agency without that tool in our toolbox.
So what you're informing me today for the first time and the committee is that you are withdrawing the Attorney General's office concern over the child support issue in HB 375.
Yes, sir.
But that concern was originally expressed to me and to Chairman White.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you, sir.